Hello Internet, and welcome to Xifeng Plays Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition 2012. This is a very special episode in a number of ways. First of all, if you've seen the Ollie Ollie video, you know that this is one of my favorite games and a really important game to me as a gamer and important in my growth as a gamer. This is also a little bit of a farewell episode because the update is already out for consoles and coming out very soon for PC, and I will be getting it, and so this could be the very last time that I even play this version of the game. So, I want to take this episode, I don't want to take too long, but I want to show you a little bit of the things that attracted me to this game and that make me like this game so much. So, first of all, I always talk about the joy of motion in games, and this game might not seem it at first, but motion is incredibly important. And especially, I'm not playing even one of the most motion-oriented characters, but the way you move around is by putting in instructions. You don't you do hold a direction to walk around and to jump, but a lot of your movement options involve moving the stick in kind of these sweepy, jiggly instruction patterns. And so I've set it up so that you can see what buttons I'm pressing. There's 3 punch buttons and 3 kick buttons. And then everything kind of comes from different combinations of those. Like, I can hit 2 buttons at once to get a focus attack, which is kind of a charged up, super powerful attack. I can hit 2 other buttons for a throw, which goes through blocking. And then I can do kind of a movement and a button in order to do a special move. And then I can do a movement and 2 buttons to do an EX move. And that will use up the meter on the bottom of the screen, though I've set it so I have unlimited meters so that I can just show you some of the stuff that I'm working on. So I should say at this point, if you're here looking for a regular Street Fighter video, turn back now. I am not very good at this game. There are people who make just fantastic videos of themselves doing amazing things, and I will link to some of my favorites in the description, but this is just going to be me talking about the reasons that this game has had a big impact on the way that I think about games. So one thing that often confuses people about this game is the better something looks, the worse it actually is. And I take that even kind of to a greater degree than normal, because I'll try to talk about one thing at a time. So, the flashiest thing in this game are what's called ultra combos. Sakura's is, I hit the quarter circle back twice, and then I hit the 3 kick buttons, and I was a little bit far away when I did that, so it didn't quite go into the animation, but I'm going to do exactly the same input, and you can... Okay, I messed up the input there a little bit. So let's see if I can get this correct. And this is actually easier than I'm making it look, but also at the same time a little bit harder. So yeah, I just wiggle the stick a little bit in a particular way, and I hit 3 buttons, and it starts that whole animation, and once the animation starts, I don't have to press anything. I just watch it go. It's very flashy, it does a lot of damage. It's a very risky move, because if I miss, I'll see if I can get far enough away to miss. Yeah, she just kind of stands there with her leg in the air for a long time, and the opponent can punish. So, then, there's supers, which you saw a little bit of, and those are similar to ultras, though they have, they're slightly different. They only use 1 button, but it's the same thing. I press some buttons, it starts an animation, and then I leave it alone. So, they factor into the game, but they're not what makes the game interesting. So, in terms of combo attacks, Sakura has some of the more interesting combo attacks, because I've set it up so that Ryu will block if I don't do my combos very precisely, and Sakura has some of the most precise combos in the game. After the spinning kick, she can do light kick. There's 1 frame on which I get to press the button and have it connect. Any other frame that I press it, either it won't come out at all, or it will get blocked. And Sakura has actually quite long combos that she can put together. And I'll see if I can show you a little taste of that. I didn't quite connect the end of it, but she can connect, like, a medium kick is, again, a 1-frame link, though this kind of gets into one of the first ways that this game really influenced my development as a gamer. So she has the spinning kick into a close medium kick that is very difficult, and I'm not even getting, I think, the spacing right. This game is very difficult, and I'm not very good at it, but I'm really trying to show you. So yeah, there's 1 frame on which I can link that standing medium kick where she puts her knee up and have it connect. But if you look at the inputs I'm doing, I'm actually hitting the medium button and then very quickly hitting the light button, like just a frame after. And what that does is it confuses the game into thinking I've hit the medium button twice because of the way that inputs are read. And so that actually gives me 2 frames on which I can hit the combo instead of just 1. So what that taught me really early on is that the line between what is a glitch and what is just normal gameplay is actually very blurry. That's just one of many things in this game that everybody does. You know, the top players do it without even thinking. And I will also do it when I'm trying to do these punch combos as well, like that one. And that's one of the combos that I've been working on. I didn't quite get the end of it, but you'll see me trying to hit that triangle of buttons that makes it think that I've hit the button twice when I actually just hit 2 different buttons. So now when I come to a game, I kind of come to it thinking, well, what is a glitch? A glitch is just part of the game. It's just part of the software. And so I don't really have the same thoughts about, you know, what's cheesing the game, what's dishonorable play. Basically anything the game that will let you do, I consider honorable play. And so that has kind of shaped the way that I've looked at other games. Another thing that I am not able to even really show you well, but another thing that this game taught me is that any game has the potential to be a sandbox game. One of my favorite videos in Street Fighter is of these 2 guys who took this game where, you know, the whole point of it is to beat up your opponent and deal as much damage as you can before they deal damage to you. They took this game and they just tried to find every way possible of doing a big flashy sequence of moves that ended up with neither character taking damage, and it just amazes me. And there's a guy, Desk, who by all accounts is not very good at the game, at least in the way that it's played, like at tournaments. You know, he doesn't have a high ranking, he doesn't do well at tournaments, but he is considered one of the best in the world at making combo videos, which is just videos of him doing amazing technical things. And so what I really got from that is that, you know, how you play a game is not necessarily the way that the person who designed it intended, and shouldn't always be that, because, you know, there's only one designer and there's lots of people playing it, and so eventually they're going to come up with ways of playing it that the designer maybe hadn't even thought of. And so that has really kind of influenced the way that I've approached other games. Like I've talked about, you know, in playing Umihara Kawase, that I try to keep as low a score as possible. Well, Umihara Kawase only pays attention to your high score. I've also talked about taking, you know, routes that aren't optimal to just explore it and try to make it as hard, you know, harder than it actually is, or find new routes, or find things that don't actually, you know, don't even take me to different places, but are just little tricks like that flip over the block in the first level that I always try to do. So one thing I talked about in the Ollie video was this idea of overgrinding, of practicing something so much that it stops being difficult. Because one of the reasons that I love this game is that it is so incredibly hard that you see the best players in the world who are competing for thousands and thousands of dollars make elementary rookie mistakes. Because the game is just so hard. You know, I mentioned that you only have one frame to hit that kick. I saw one of the best Sakura players in the world get up on the stage at Evolution, which is the world championship for this game. And he dropped that link every single time he attempted it. And it was, you know, it was sad to watch, but that really shows me that this game is, you know, that James Chen is, I think, one of the best commentators of any sport or game that I've ever seen. And he talked about it being really like a musical instrument, that you never expect to see people play perfectly. Because it's too difficult. Everybody makes mistakes, and that's kind of... I really like that. And also, I really like the feeling of striving and striving and striving. So, like, there's this series that I've been working on that I set the game aside for a while recently, but the last thing I was working on that I wasn't able to get involves doing this move, and then canceling it into this move and then a dash. Because this move can very easily be cancelled by a dash, even on its first frame. So it becomes a way of cancelling moves into other moves that you wouldn't otherwise be able to cancel their animation and make them combo when, you know, they wouldn't be able to link. So, for instance, this one, not that one, this one, if I just let it go, it knocks him over and it leaves me in this recovery animation that takes a long time. But if I expend 2 meters, I can actually cancel it like that, and that will take 2 from the super meter on the bottom left there. But you won't see it because I have it set it up on just unlimited so that I don't have to worry about it. And what that lets me do is that lets me go from this very fast startup move that approaches really well into her normal kind of spinning kick combos. But that's incredibly difficult. I have like just a couple of frames on which I can cancel the move and then have just a couple of frames on which to start the next part of the combo. And this kind of has a similar feel. So I can't actually do this while I'm looking at it. I have to do some moves, and then, like, remember what I saw, because what I need to do is get 3 hits. So that was 2 hits. That was too late. I see after I did it that it was too late. And there I saw her fist come up just for a frame above his head. Just flashed so fast that I couldn't process it until after it had happened. But that's how I tell that I've done that part of the combo correctly. And then once I cancel it, I have to do a bunch of inputs very quickly to set up that part of the combo, and it's very rarely that I make it connect, but it feels so good when I do. And so that's what I've been working on, and it takes so much concentration. I'm going to try and actually stop talking and just focus on doing it and see if I can land it. And you can see that, I'm still not landing all of the parts of it, even though, I'm concentrating as much as I can. And it's like seeing through my hands sometimes. I don't even know if I can explain the feeling when you're concentrating on something so hard and then you finally land it. And that's something that, I always have something like that with Sakura. And I always love practicing and practicing and practicing, which is a little bit ironic because I hated practicing so much for so much of my life, and I actually have a lot of regret around all of the things that I haven't practiced. And yet, this silly little video game, these games, I don't know why I like practicing them so much. But anyway, so there are some things that I was practicing so much that they are now easy. Like, that takes less and less effort every time I do it, and it is almost automatic. I can pull it off in matches now. So that's what I talked about in the Ollie Ollie video as over-grinding, it's something that I practiced so much that I've now lost the kind of really deeply felt reward of landing it. Now it's just like, oh yeah, I did that, gotta do it again. Okay, now let's see if I can do it again. Oh, I was a little late that time. Let's see if I can do it again. Oh, there we go. Yep, and then that into a grab, and then do a crossover there, and some block strings, and then another grab, and then another crossover, land on the other side, and then that was too far away to do a grab. So yeah, it becomes this kind of automatic flow, and you need it to become automatic in order to be able to do it consistently in matches. And you're seeing even then it's not completely automatic. I do miss it sometimes. But this combo, it's like I can just barely taste it. It's just out of my reach. It's so wonderfully tantalizing. And that's the kind of thing that really draws me to this game. And as much as I love the combos, and as flashy and great as they look if you know to watch for them, and as amazing as people like Shan and Sako are who can do combos I can't even dream of, that's not even the best part of the game. The best part of the game is the interaction between the two players that goes by almost faster than the eye can see, that you only see, like, you see somebody fall over, and you kind of think back and go, ah, that must have been a sweep that he just did, which means that the other guy must not have been blocking low, which means he was probably trying to go for a throw, and it just goes by so quickly. And yet that's where the most interesting part of the game, and part of why, I'm kind of wanting to do this farewell to this version of the game, is that this version actually had some beautiful things that no longer are going to exist in the new version. Things like, once you get somebody knocked over, you actually have some pretty interesting advantages over them that you won't have in the new one, because they have more options for getting up in ways that foil your plans. And Sakura was the best at that. She had all sorts of crazy setups that, you'd see a different one every time she got a knockdown, and each one would lead into perfectly timing something to make it as difficult to deal with as possible. And it led to this very exciting sequence of, she'd get the advantage, and then she'd do something complicated, and you'd try to guess what she was going to do and try to counter it, and sometimes you'd be right, and then you'd escape, and sometimes you'd be wrong, and then she'd get the advantage again, and start setting up something else. And that's, you know, stuff that I was just beginning to learn how to do when they announced that they were patching most of that out. And so it's going to be, you know, I'm going to be playing a different character, and it's going to be a learning experience, and it's something that I definitely want to continue learning, and so it's something that I hope that will be coming back to the channel once that starts. So I'm going to leave it off for there, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do leave a like. And if you have any thoughts about the game or about practicing or grinding, I would love to hear about it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that you'll join me in the future when the new version of this game comes out and I start doing videos of that.